All right, so today we're going to shine the spotlight on, well, someone you don't usually see taking a bow,
Hmm.
the prompter.
Right.
Yeah, you've mentioned before being interested in theater, so we're doing a deep dive with RoleCatcher's Career Guide
Okay.
on this, well, surprisingly important role.
Yeah,
So get ready to go behind the curtain.
absolutely.
So from what I understand, it's a lot more than it seems.
Oh, yeah. Definitely more than meets the eye.
Okay.
The guide really highlights just how much this role is connected with everything else that's going on during a show.
Okay, so not just someone hiding in a little box offstage feeding lines.
Right, not at all. They're essentially like a stage manager,
Uh-huh.
like a script whisperer, but then also, and this is really interesting, an actor whisperer.
Actor whispering. Now that's a term I haven't heard before. What does that even mean?
Yeah, so you know how much pressure there is when you're on stage?
Oh,
You
yeah.
got the lights in your eyes, hundreds of people staring at you.
Right.
Your mind can just go blank, even if you've been rehearsing for weeks.
Yeah.
The prompter has to sense those moments. Like they can tell when a performer might be a little off
Mm-hmm.
and be ready with the right cue at, exactly the right time.
So they almost develop like a sixth sense or something. Like
Exactly.
they're reading minds and saving the show every night.
Yeah, and the guide called it this high-stakes balancing act,
Oh, wow.
which I think is a really good way to put it
Yeah.
because you're invisible to the audience,
Right.
but you're holding the whole performance together in this really unique way.
Yeah.
And you really have to think on your feet.
I bet.
Like they shared some pretty wild anecdotes about handling mishaps on stage.
Oh, now those I have to hear. What were some of your favorites?
Well, one that stuck with me involved this sudden prop malfunction.
Okay.
So picture this, mid-scene.
Uh-huh.
This key piece of furniture just falls apart.
Oh, no.
Of course, the actors are thrown off.
Right.
But the prompter stayed calm, whispered this quick ad-lib to the lead actor.
Oh.
And it was incorporated so smoothly, the audience was none the wiser.
See, I never would even thought of that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they can just make those split-second decisions. It's
Yeah.
clearly a lot more than just like reciting lines from a book.
Yeah.
They need this deep understanding of how everything fits together.
Absolutely. And that's where that actor whispering part comes back in.
Right.
Because a good prompter knows when an actor needs more than just their line.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just need a little gesture
Right.
or a nod to boost their confidence.
Okay.
The guide really stresses how important it is to build a connection with the performers,
Yeah.
to understand their quirks, I guess,
Right.
and what they need to do well in those high-pressure moments.
That's so fascinating. It's like they're building this whole unspoken language with the performers,
Mm-hmm.
like a secret communication system to make sure the show goes on.
Exactly.
Wow. So they're like, I don't know, ninjas of the theater world or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So speaking of blending in, I'm curious about career progression in this line of work.
Yep.
Like, is this a lifelong gig, or can you actually move up from behind the prompt box?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And you might be surprised to hear that there's a whole career ladder
Okay.
within prompting,
Really?
which the guide actually breaks down.
Wow. Okay, so what are the rungs on this ladder? Like, where does someone even begin?
So like most theater jobs, it usually starts with, entry-level positions.
Right.
Think assisting the senior prompters,
Okay.
prepping the prompt books,
Which I guess are basic.
which by the way are basically
Yeah.
annotated scripts with like all the cues and blocking notes and stuff.
Gotcha.
And then maybe even doing some backstage tasks at first
Right.
to really get a sense of how a production works.
So like a real apprenticeship.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you learn the ropes.
Okay.
And then from there, you might become like a junior prompter. And that's when you start actually prompting during rehearsals
Uh-huh.
and maybe even some of the, less demanding performances.
Right. So like no more safety net. You're on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Trial by fire.
Yeah.
But also such a good learning opportunity.
Right.
And then as you get better and more confident, you can move up to senior prompter.
Okay, so what does a senior prompter do? Like what sets them apart?
They handle like the really big stuff.
Oh, wow.
The complex plays, musicals that have,
Yeah.
tons of scene changes and all these crazy prop cues,
Right.
productions with huge casts.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're not only keeping the actors on track,
Yeah.
but they might also be mentoring junior prompters too.
Oh, wow.
So they're really sharing their expertise, making sure the whole prompting team is running smoothly.
So they're like the conductors of the prompter world.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And the guide actually says that for those who, want to keep moving up,
Yeah.
this can be a path to becoming a stage manager
Oh, wow.
or even a director.
Really? So all those years of like mastering the subtleties of prompting, that
Yeah,
understanding of rhythm and just how to wrangle live theater,
totally.
it all builds up to these other roles.
It does. It gives you such a deep understanding of stagecraft,
Yeah.
timing, how actors work,
Yeah.
really all the ingredients you need to bring a director's vision to life.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a great foundation for a career in theater.
So for anyone listening who's like completely fascinated by all of this, what are like the key takeaways, the essential qualities that the guide mentions for being a great prompter?
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to have that meticulous attention to detail
Okay.
because you're the guardian of the script.
Right.
So knowing every line, every comma, even every pause
Yeah.
is essential.
Right.
And then there's that ability to stay calm in really stressful situations.
Yeah, live theater, anything can happen.
Oh, totally. So being able to think on your feet,
Yeah.
adapt to chaos.
Right.
That's key.
You also mentioned that connection with the actors.
Right. Empathy is huge in this role
Mm-hmm.
because a good prompter needs to understand, like, the actor's processes,
Yeah.
their vulnerabilities even,
Right.
and be able to offer support
Mm-hmm.
without any judgment.
Right.
That trust is so important.
Right. And of course, loving theater.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You're immersed in this creative world.
Yeah.
So that passion for the work,
Mm-hmm.
for bringing these stories to life,
Mhm.
it makes the long hours and everything
Yeah.
totally worth it.
So it's like they have a front row seat to the creative process,
Yeah.
but then they also have this added responsibility of knowing that they can steer the ship if it starts going off course.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And the guide really shows how rewarding that can be, even though the audience might not know their name.
Right.
A prompter knows that they played this vital role
Yeah.
in making this magical experience happen.
Absolutely. It's really amazing how this role that no one sees is so important.
Yeah.
But for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm sold, how do I actually become this like stage whisperer?
Yeah.
Right.
What does the guide say?
Well, I bet you can guess.
Yeah.
Practical experience is key.
Okay. So you're not going to find a prompting 101 class.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, formal training can help, of course.
Sure.
But the guide really emphasizes that hands-on experience is how most prompters learn.
Which makes sense. You learn by doing.
Exactly.
So what does that look like? How do you get that experience?
Volunteering,
Okay.
interning at local theaters,
Right.
like community productions, student plays, whatever you can find,
Yeah.
just to get a feel for it and offer your services, you know?
Mm-hmm. Even just assisting during rehearsals.
Exactly. Even that is so valuable.
So like shadowing a more experienced prompter.
Yeah, basically. Watch how they work, how they interact with the actors.
The stage manager, how they handle the pacing of everything.
It's like an apprenticeship in stage whispering, basically.
Yeah, I like that.
And speaking of how those skills evolve, the guide also mentioned how technology is changing things up.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they talked about all the new tech in theater.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for prompters specifically? Like, are we going to have AI prompters someday?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right.
The guide definitely makes you think about that
Yeah.
because we're already seeing things like teleprompters, digital scripts,
Mm-hmm.
all these really advanced communication systems backstage.
It makes sense for prompters to keep up with the times, but do you think there will always be that need for the human touch?
Yeah.
Like, can an algorithm really have that intuition, that sixth sense that the best prompters seem to have?
That's the heart of it, right?
Yeah.
It's something to really think about.
It is.
Like, could AI prompters become the norm?
Right.
Or will we always need that human touch, that ability to understand what's happening in a live performance
Yeah.
and react when something unexpected happens?
Such a good question to leave everyone with.
Yeah.
So for all you theater fans out there,
Mhm.
we hope you've enjoyed this look into the world of prompting.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll even be inspired to volunteer at your local theater.
Yeah.
Or even just watch a show with a new appreciation for the, unseen hand that's guiding everything.
Absolutely.
From the psychology of actors to the changing role of technology, there's a lot more to prompting than meets the eye.
That's for sure.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.